become more productive at doing them. And the reason for this is because we increase the amount of enjoyment, and as we increase enjoyment or perceived enjoyment and activity, we allocate more energy, resources to doing it, which means we pay attention, we focus, we do things longer than needed. Whew. So that's the important thing, is that with stress and anxiety, like, we are just creating it, but so many people are conditioned to trying to use stress and anxiety, but it's irrelevant. For example, I'm no more productive when I am highly stressed than I am when I am, at a base level. The difference is, at a base level, I'm working against myself and procrastinating and not doing it. And at a highly stressed level, that's taken out. So if we understand this, if we just do what we say we're going to do, for example, if we're studying, like, if the goal is 3 assignments or 3 assessment pieces, like, that's what we work to. Like, it's that simple in terms of, like, if we just do the work, life becomes easier. We don't need motivation. Like, for example, if I just, let's take university and let's take assignment writing. Like, if I just write an assignment or sit down and research it, like, it's done. Like, it takes so long to read. Like, at a certain point, you know what I mean? Like, it only takes so long to read something. Once you read it, you're done. Like, not to say that you don't reread it, but to say that, like, if we just sit down and do the work required, the work is then done. Like, we don't have to plan. We don't have to organize. Like, we don't have to create artificial metrics or barriers. Like, we can just do what we want to do. And the more I tell myself I enjoy what I'm doing when I do it, the more I enjoy it. So the higher the likelihood I'm going to do it again. Because if my goal in life is enjoyment, well, wouldn't I take the activities that are most enjoyable to me? And that's one of the funny things. Like, so many people, when they create businesses, they create this, like, indentured servitude. Like, because there's all these artificial metrics and barriers and boundaries and all of these shackles that weigh them down to where they can't even operate it, and they're not even doing it because they enjoy it. Like, most are doing it just because, it's something that, they can earn money from. And that's one of the funny things. When we can separate that need for return, that need for validation, that need for gratification, when we can get rid of that and just do the work's done. So, for example, if we're at uni writing an assignment, we don't write an assignment to get a high grade, because what is an assignment that gets a high grade? So we write to the highest competency that we can, and we just do that. Because if I'm trying to get the highest grade, then I have to stress and realize and find out what even is worthy of a high grade. So, like, if we understand this, we understand that if we just cut out the middleman and just do things to the best of our ability, and detach from the outcome or the results, and just do it because we enjoy it, we are going to do it more. So the more we tell ourselves and the more we do it, and do it again and again and again, the more we're sort of reinforcing the enjoyment aspect. And we're getting those chemicals that our brain is seeking, Because the funny thing in life is that, life has no meaning. Like, you think about this forest that I'm in right now. Like, there's really no meaning to why the trees grow. It's sort of like they developed the and developed the ability to utilize like the land, and they growed. And now because there's land, they grow. Like, they just are. Like, we can try and put overarching meanings to everything in life if we want, but it's us that is putting it there. So it's not so much that, you know, because I say the trees grow because there's land there, that's the right answer. It's more like it doesn't really matter why, in terms of like, who are we asking the answers from? Like, you know what I mean? And you could argue that like science is the base level language of communicating with God, because science, you know, when we're thinking about things like string theory and stuff like that, and, you know, trying to understand the universe, like we're trying to understand, you know, what is, you know what I mean? But it's like, we are just guessing the answers based off evidence that we can find. So it doesn't really matter if something is or isn't. Like, if there's gravity, if there's not gravity, like, it doesn't really matter, because, for example, like, if there is such a thing as gravity, or if there isn't such a thing as gravity, right? My experience doesn't change, because life is what it is. So like, because I understand that there's a, you know, a force called gravity that holds us down, you know what I mean? Like, we seek comfort and validation in the correctness of answers. But in life, who's there to ask an answer to? Like, you can ask God, you know what I mean? But like, you know, no one's really going to tell you, in terms of like, there's no one really that knows why the universe is. It just is. And we can wonder and we can speculate all we want. But when we understand this principle that like, life just is, and I'm giving the meaning to the experience I'm having in life. Do you understand? So like, personal meaning means everything in the world. Like, my personal meaning means everything in the world to me, just like your personal meaning should to you. But it's personal. Like, others don't have to share it, because it's not a right or a wrong answer in life. Like, how I think or view right, so like, how I think or view like the meaning of the forest, okay, and I might think, you know, the meaning of the forest is life, is, you know, growth, whatever it may be. It doesn't influence what the forest does. Like, do you sort of understand? So like, if I'm in a car crash and I think that that car crash is a bad sort of experience or action, like, that doesn't change the outcome of the action, the car crash. The car crash is what it is. So I can choose to see it as negative or positive. Like, I choose. Just to the same, like in anything in life, like, if I'm worried about, for example, if I'm going to be successful in life, that's not going to change the outcome in terms of the actions I take will determine if I am successful or not in life. Me wishing and wanting and worrying and all of this won't do anything to change it, because it is what it is. The only thing that can change it is my actions in the moment. So for example, I can speculate meaning on this forest around me all I want, but unless I take action against this forest, so let's say I started cutting down trees, now I'm influencing the outcome in the actions of the moment. If I take no action, life is what it is. When I take action, I shape and alter life to be what I want it to be. So to understand this is just to understand that if I'm creating anxiety and stress in my life, I can create as much anxiety and stress in my life as I want. That will make no impact to the situations that I'm in. So stressing and worrying over anything, okay, so setting artificial timelines, artificial deadlines, you know, creating a frame of mind of success and failure. Like this path, there is forward or backwards. That's it. I can stop, you know what I mean? But that's how it is in life. Like, if something negative happens, like, I'm either alive or I'm dead. If I'm alive, great. This is what life is now. Like in the situation, whenever the situation or the outcome happens, like that is what life is now. Now we can take actions to try and alter and mitigate it, but it's sort of like when we just understand the flow, that it doesn't matter what life is or what the situation is, it's how I am viewing the situation that determines how I feel about the situation and the meaning that it holds. So if I want to see everything in my life as being negative, I can create negative meaning behind all actions and outcomes that happen to me. If I want to have a positive outlook on life, I just create positive meaning and positive outlooks. Like I look on the bright side. So to understand this is just to understand, do I want negative emotions fueling negative, stress chemicals? Or do I want positive emotions fueling, my endorphins, fueling serotonin, like the positive chemicals in my body? When I'm in a negative state or frame of mind or state of being, when I'm constantly negative and my environment is negative and there's all this negative reinforcement, like I'm in a fight or flight and I'm always reactive. And what this does is lowers my immune system, lowers my ability to think, lowers my ability to, do cognitive activities in terms of complex problem solving, being able to speculate or see the bigger picture, or being able to, when I become stressed, I become very narrow-minded and narrow-focused. So you think about it, if I'm going through trying to achieve a goal using stress as my main, fuel for motivation, I'm becoming narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower until there's only one path. Do you sort of understand? If I'm calm about it and I just do the work and I don't really care if I'm motivated or not, I just sort of do it as a process, then I'm able to just do. And because I'm not focused, worried or stressed, I'm able to look at it for what it is. See the opportunities that lay ahead, and that's an important thing. Because the number one reason that people lapse into negative habits is through stress. Through emotional, financial, relationship, like all these different stresses. So we just got to understand that negative habits or negative behaviors are typically coping mechanisms for different kinds of stress. And by understanding this, what we're able to understand is how, if you want to live, let's say your ideal life of what you view to be ideally the best life, then ideally you're going to be avoiding stress. Like, no one's ideal life is to be stressed. So that's an important thing, is that, like, when we're creating our ideal of our life, the ideal of, the life we want to live, like, we can see it as being a stressful process, or we can see it as being a very relaxed, calm process. Like, it's all just frames of mind, perception, how we view things. Do I view doing something new as being stressful and difficult, or do I view something new as being exciting and easy? Like, that's it. If I choose to tell myself that everything in life, no matter the difficulty, is easy, my life becomes easy. What's there to stress about? Difficult is what I expect to be easy. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if I'm always expecting life to be easy, any point of difficulty will create, issues, will create these barriers to overcome. So, like, it's all just frame of mind and perception. And when we understand that, we understand that life is simple. It's either we choose to take the actions or we don't. If we don't know what actions to take, we research until we do know what actions to take. There is no time frame. If we just set a goal and then work until the goal is done, then job done. And if we don't need validation external to ourselves, and we don't need gratification from others, like, it doesn't really matter. Then what happens is if I take the action, I'm succeeding. Like, do you sort of see? Like, there is no success, there is no failure. There is either taking the action or not taking the action. If I require no validation or gratification from other people, like, I can continuously take the action for as long as I choose to or I want to. If I don't need the validation of others to feel like I'm on the right path or doing the right thing, then I am able to just keep taking the actions and discern and determine the right actions and the right course. Like, I'm able to take all the control mechanisms, like, back, because the only thing I'm looking to control is the actions that I take. So how I take those actions, when I take those actions, how many times I take those actions, how long I take those actions for. They're all things I can control because they're all within me. It all just determines on how long I want to do it for. And when we get to this stage, or this frame of mind, or this way of thinking, this perception that in anything there is no success or failure, because there's only how long am I willing to do it. Am I willing to do it until I succeed, or am I willing to do it for a little bit? That's it. If I say I want to diet and get into, the best health, it's sort of like, how long do I want to do it for? Am I going to diet and exercise until I'm in the best health I'm in? Or am I not? There's no difficulty. I don't need to plan, I just need to do. If I take the actions, I'm succeeding. If I don't take the actions, I'm failing. Like, do you get it? Because without any actions taken, no change can occur. So it's not so much that if I don't take the actions, I'm failing. It's more that if I take the actions, progression is forward. If I don't take the actions, progression is neutral. So I can take the actions once a week if I wanted to, regardless. It just depends on how far you have to go on that journey. So like, that's an important thing to understand, is because once we understand this, life becomes simple. It's just a matter of willingness.